2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brandon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
What if showing up authentic destroys my relationship?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brandon, how's it going, man?
Dude, I got a bit of a hangover. It's a good thing, but
what's going on?
We were down in the Texas heat yesterday, you and I, and having a great time with our cousins and as brothers and stuff. But it was hot.
It was the kind of heat too that you feel it while you're out there, but then when you go inside into air conditioning, you almost feel like you have become the heater and the heat's now emanating from you. It's like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's hard to cool down, but it was awesome. It was a great trip. There is a little bit of that vacation hangover going on today, but it was awesome. It's always so good to just get together, especially, I don't do a lot with you and Rex or even our cousin Jeff or, Mark. Like, it's good to see them, and it's good to just spend some time with them. And it's always a recharging weekend when we do something like that.
Dude, when the sun was setting and we had that music going and we were out on the boat, and I think I saw you shed a tear.
It was funny because looking around the boat at separate times, I think I saw almost every single guy kind of get emotional. And one of the best parts of that moment was we were driving on the boat, just together playing this loud music. And it was kind of like worship music. And some lady came out of her house, right along the beach of the
house.
shore. And she heard the music and saw us just sitting there. And she just raised her arms and started to worship with us, right there while we were driving by. It was awesome.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was awesome. So
yeah, well, I'm glad to go on that with you. It was good. So, but let's dive in with Pete here. We got a great guest today. I think he has a really interesting question that can go all kinds of different ways. So, Pete, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Welcome. Glad to be here.
If you could just give us some context, some background, let us know what's going on with you, and then ask away.
Okay. I'm going to skip over probably what would end up being 3 podcasts or more, but briefly, as brief as I can, got involved with pornography and masturbation probably 9 or 10 years old. progressed throughout my life. I joined the LDS church when I was 16, and I started trying to work on it, but I didn't know what to do. And a lot of times I was just told, pray more and read, and that was that. Parents had been separated. They had gotten back together. My dad had a brain injury, so he was not normal. I guess that's a horrible way to put it, but he had some frontal lobe issues, so his temper and other stuff. So he wasn't physically abusive, but there was a lot of yelling and screaming, which will lead me kind of forward there. Anyway, with the addiction, it progressed at a certain point. I had times when I was good, white knuckling it, went on a mission, came back, did pretty good, but all the times, I'd go back and there was this overwhelming shame. Just always, just kind of leading me on. I got married when I was 21. We moved around the country while I was doing school. Had an incident where I had an emotional affair with a fellow student of mine at university. Nothing physical happened, but it was enough to make. There was a lot of conversation going on between my wife and I. I had kind of given up and was using that as an out. And instead we started working on it. I started actually working on addiction recovery, seeing counselors, going to recovery meetings. Then we moved to Texas, and I got busy with work, started slipping away from attending my meetings and doing my recovery work, and got to the point where I don't know if I had a breakdown or what, but my addiction progressed so much that I ended up getting arrested for indecent exposure, which, yeah, it's his own thing. In the process of that, my wife knew about my addiction. We had a lot of discussions about it, but within the year or two leading up to this happening, I had been really distant. Like the term gaslighting, I had been telling her everything's fine. She'd been asking me if something was wrong, even, the week before I got arrested. And I was just saying, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just exhausted from work and everything's. So all that, the arrest happens, the nuclear bomb. I lose my job. Trying to think. The legal process took, a year and a half almost to go through. This is right around COVID time. I started working really intensely on my recovery after the arrest. I was attending 2 or 3 meetings a week, 12-step meetings, church meetings. I was meeting with a therapist, writing, doing everything I could. I had an amazing stretch of recovery, sobriety, I guess, 18 months, which had been unheard of for me throughout my life. And then when my legal stuff kind of fell apart, or I guess wrapped up, I kind of slipped back into, going back to acting out, not as much, but it became an issue again. That's not the main reason, I guess, for us talking. In my marriage, my lifetime, I've had this hobby of collecting cars, and it's always been just a thing in the background. And I kind of, I grew up and I got to where I felt spend $5 here and there and enjoy this hobby that kind of gave me an out. There was an aspect of it that was compulsive. There's also an aspect of it that at least my wife connects directly to my addiction, my acting out, and my arrest. Because I would use it as an excuse to leave the house and go, and what I would end up doing would be going and acting out. She'd asked me to stop this hobby. I'd said yes. And then I would kind of go back and see something I liked and go buy it. And then she'd find out and there'd be a big issue, big argument. She'd be angry at me for a while. Then everything would kind of go back to normal. And we'd follow this process over and over. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times over the past few years. And then it came to one last moment where the same thing happened. I'd said I wasn't going to do it. I saw something, I bought it. It was online. She found out, stopped talking to me. A year later, she moved out of the house with the kids, and that was a year ago now. So here we are. We barely talked for the past 2 years. Previous to that, our relationship was amazing. For the year before, our relationship was better than it had ever been. I mean, it was, I don't know how else to explain it. But at that moment, it was like a switch. Literally, the night before was bliss. The morning, she approached me and confronted me about this purchase, and it was 180 degrees different. And it's never recovered from that. So, and, I feel like I've held a lot of shame in our relationship. I've always blamed myself for everything that was wrong because of my acting out, because of the pornography and masturbation. And I've never stood up and said, there's other things, all right. I don't see a problem with whatever this hobby or whatever it might be. I've always just kind of put my head down and said, yeah, you're right. I was wrong. I'll be better, and moved on.
Pete, can I ask you something? I'm just curious. The straw that broke the camel's back here, was it a lot of money, or like
it was $35, $40?
It was $40. Something's not adding up for me here. She's been through recovery with you. She's been through a legal charge that, there's been exhibitionism and indecent exposure, whatever, a legal charge, ups and downs with recovery. And all of a sudden, and I'm not minimizing it. I feel like I'm missing pieces to this puzzle. You spend $30 or $40 on some cars, and she doesn't talk to you for 2 years after things were really good. Is there something? Is there something I'm missing here?
I wish. It's, I guess on her side, it would be, when I ask her about it, she brings up that I lied and I deceived her about this hobby, and she relates it to my lying and deceit with acting out, and it's somehow emotionally connected to her. She has this emotional response.
Right. It means so much. It means so much more than the $30 or $40.
Right. I've asked her. I said, I'd had slips. I'd had things happen, and I talked to you about it, and it wasn't this big. And then I make this purchase, and yeah, I said I wasn't going to do it, and I get it, and I'm working on that. It's something, but I don't the extremity of the response. And so then I start trying to find myself in the process and come back stronger. And I feel like I'm pushing things over the edge.
You mean you come back with drama? Is that what you're saying? Like you come back fighting? Is that?
Well, I don't know if fighting's the word, but I'm trying to. Well, I feel like I'm fighting for the relationship. I've always been, I guess going back to what I said earlier, seeing my dad being so aggressive and angry and yelling as a kid, I'd always said I wasn't going to be that. Like, I didn't want to be like my father, and like I said, I joined the church when I was 16, and I keep hearing these things about there's no reason to yell in the house, and, a husband should be kind and all these things. And so that was my mindset of, to be kind, to be a good husband, I have to be passive, and I have to just accept everything my wife says, essentially, and accept that I'm probably the problem here. That's what I had in my mind with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I start going through recovery and working on developing some self-esteem and loving myself. And I feel like I'm starting to come back stronger, but I don't know. It's too much. She doesn't, she has 18 years, 19 years of me being this weak, passive person. And now all of a sudden, after this traumatic experience of hers, and she asked me to do something seemingly small, and now I'm fighting it. It just seems to be too much.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. So you guys have been separated for basically 2 years, but you're still married? Is
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, basically a year in house, and a year out. Yeah. She had
talk.
Moved to California with kids. We text. I try and text every once in a while. We've talked maybe a dozen times over the year. She wants to talk only with a therapist. I don't have the money to do that.
Does she want a divorce? Does she want a divorce?
It's been brought up frequently over the past month or two.
You've talked a dozen times in a year. How many kids do you have?
4.
4 kids. How old's your oldest? I'm just curious.
She's 16.
And your youngest? What's the range?
16, 14, 12, and she'll be 10.
Okay, 16 to 10. So 4 kids, 16 to 10, who haven't seen their dad in hardly at all in a year, is what you're saying.
Right. And kind of to make it, I guess, an added thing is I just recently got off probation for my charge. So I couldn't travel. So there's that as well.
Okay. Tyler, any thoughts?
Yeah, there's man, like you said at the beginning, Brandon, there's lots of different ways we could go with this one today. Pete, I guess I just want to maybe help explore for a second your wife's perspective on this, because like Brandon, if we just list the facts, I had a massive issue. I got to where I'm no longer acting out. I'm taking care of things with the legal system, but now I spent $40 on a toy car. That's the deal breaker. I don't think that's really probably being totally fair to your wife, right?
No, I don't want to minimize it. Like I said, there was definitely a compulsive aspect of it previously.
Yeah.
Probably hundreds of dollars, if not more, on this. We weren't rolling in the dough. She has a lot of issues where he wouldn't do things or wouldn't go out and buy things for the kids, and here I would come in, with a couple dollars or whatever with the cards, but still I'm buying these things and she's sacrificing, and I just all came to a boil, with the trauma of my arrest and everything else. Like I don't want to. I put her through hell. Like I can't imagine just the night before me telling her everything's fine, I'm just exhausted, and then the next night I'm not coming home and she's getting a call from me in jail, and then she has to come and bail me out. I can't imagine. So I don't want to sound like I'm minimizing the trauma of that, because that's huge.
Yeah.
If it was about that, I don't know. I think I'd be more.
Yeah. I wonder if there's an extension of that though.
Yeah.
Where now all of a sudden she goes through the hell of it all. Like she goes through the depths of it all. she sees some flashes of things, and then you're coming back to her and you're saying to her, hey, like you, in essence, what I hear happening is that she comes to you and says, hey, I want you to make these changes. And because you were trying to be the nice guy or the good guy, you agreed to something that you actually didn't really want to agree to. And then you continued the pattern of dishonesty to do what you wanted to do, with the backdrop of also being very stressed financially on top of all the other stuff you've been through. And now she's going in her head, man, same patterns of dishonesty. Like it would have been way better in the first place if you would have just had the fight with her up front. Hey, like, I really love this hobby, and I'm not going to commit to you that I'm not ever going to do that. What I'll commit to you is that I'll make sure I'm honest with you, and that maybe we put this into our budget from time to time. Right. That fight would have potentially sent you guys on a completely different course, even though it would have been uncomfortable. But because it had the dishonesty, because it had the manipulation, because you had to get caught again, like all of that stuff it's just, to you, it's like, we're improving because this is over my car collection now instead of over my sex addiction. But to her, she's like, oh, it's more of the same pattern.
It's all the same thing.
It feels like it broke, and I imagine that's probably, if I'm putting myself in her shoes, that's probably what she's experiencing. And now you're coming back and saying, dang, I realized that I need to be more authentic. So now that there's this little pushback, she's already in the spot of feeling broken there. And now the pushback feels like your pride, and it feels like you're like rooting yourself into to something, when in reality, what it sounds like you're trying to do is learn how to stand in your authenticity a little bit more. At least that's your perspective on it.
Right.
Is that right?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. I think I appreciate what both of you are saying. Like, when I'm saying there's a missing piece to this puzzle, in no way am I trying to say your wife's crazy for a $30 or $40 purchase and she's out the door and she runs off with the kids. And like, what I'm saying is what Tyler's saying. Like, this is not about that $30 and $40. This is not about that at all. And so it's about her intuition and her guts kind of feeling you out and saying, am I with a man who is safe? Am I with a man who can create trust in a relationship? And her gut, she finally listened to it. It said to her, I'm not, and I need to go protect myself. Now that sucks for you, Pete, because you feel like, what the heck? I've been making some progress. Like, I have trauma from my childhood with my dad. I have this addiction throughout this long period of time. I'm finding 18 months of sobriety. And I'm like, I'm making some progress. What?
Cleared up my legal stuff. Like, yeah, there's movement in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. And her shelf had broken a while back. And I don't know if you realized that. So it had broken a while back. So you start projecting in the right direction. And she's like, man, like, I don't know. Like, if this relationship is what I should be in. And now I really wonder about both of you in terms of, 2 years of this limbo land. It's time to go a direction. It's time to move one way or the other. In my opinion, this isn't good for your kids. It's not good for you. And it's probably not good for her. Right.
Right.
And so
that's why I feel like I'm pushing, I'm trying, I'm reaching out to her, trying to keep the conversation going and figure out what we can do. I had, when she moved out with the kids, I kind of broke, and had a month or two of just not good stuff. I decided to start, I hadn't drank in 20 plus years, and I decided to pick it up, and I did some things in response to the way I was feeling that are not good. And I'm not going to try and justify them. But on top of all this other stuff, she saw that. And it just what you were saying with the, she doesn't feel safe. It just made it even worse.
Yeah.
And I'm telling myself that I'm staying in this house so they have a place to come back. But what I'm really doing is digging myself into this financial debt because, it's 45 minutes away from where I work and I can't really afford it by myself. And so, and she sees that as well. And it's just, I'm digging myself further in and I don't know how to get out of this hole and still figure out who I am and stand up and be strong.
I'm wondering, I mean, I can hear it in you. I can see it in your face. I can hear it in your voice that there's definitely some pain. There's some confusion. There's a feeling of lostness. It sounds like there's a part of you that ends up in the driver's seat from time to time, the hopeless, shameful part that leads you to not take care of yourself, which then puts you in the position of having all the things that you don't want be reinforced. Right. And I also hear a piece of you that's like maybe holding on to something that isn't there right now anymore. And it's working against you. And I'm wondering if we were to just kind of spend some time on the inside of you with those parts of you that, what is it that down at the core you're really needing or wanting? Way down deep. What is it that you really need and want?
Connection. Like, just some kind of connection. It doesn't have to be intimate, but it, I don't know. One of the biggest things I miss is just coming home and chatting with my kids, talking to my wife about the day. That's like the hardest thing for me right now is going home and there's nothing, and I just kind of get up and go through my day over and over. So yeah, that connection is what I'm like. I feel like at least.
So the behavior right now is that I'm going to harm myself with new behaviors. I'm going to hold on to a house that I can't afford that's totally empty because in my mind, somehow that means they're going to come back to me. Meanwhile, I've got a family who now lives states away from me that all I really want is to be able to connect with them. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, that sounds pretty much it.
I wonder what the first steps would be to help get what you really want and need in line with the things you're actually doing towards that end. And this is where I think Brandon was going too a little bit earlier. And Brandon, you can step in for me here too if you want, but you've got kids that you miss and that they need a father in their life. And it's not going to cut it to have a phone call with their mom once a month and no other forms of communication. They need a dad. They need you, and you want to be with them. That the pursuit of those things seems like that's where I'd be spending most of my time and my energy and my resource, other than the individual work on getting to understand and love the pieces of you that are so broken that they want to hurt you. But I think those two things would work in conjunction with each other and help you start to climb further out of the hole rather than staying stuck in this, like Brandon said, limbo land. Like I hear it, I feel it, like yuck.
Why are you not divorced? Is it because of you? Is it because of her? Like, why are you not divorced?
On my side, I spoke with a lawyer. I kind of came to the conclusion that it would be better for all of us if we tried to work on it, financially and just as a family for the kids. It would be better if we could work on this and figure it out. I don't know why she hasn't yet.
Okay.
He's saying she'll work on it.
What's that?
She said that she would work on it with certain conditions.
Even at this point, Pete?
If she's willing to talk to me, if we have a therapist present,
Okay. So
she needs a third party.
what have you done to find that therapist?
I found us a therapist before they left. We were meeting with her probably twice a month. And honestly, she was saying a lot of the same things, that we're stuck and something needs to happen. She had suggested a therapeutic separation. I wasn't really able to move because of my legal situation. So I didn't do anything with that. We were basically separated in-house.
Do you not want to pay for therapy?
I would if I could.
Okay.
Like right now, I'm just paying my bills. I'm broke.
Have you talked to your bishop?
Have
you exhausted
bit, yeah.
have you exhausted every last resource?
Probably not in that regard, but yes.
How much is your car collection worth?
Oh.
I don't know.
You just ask that, Tyler?
Well, and
I just know our listeners are all asking that question, so I need to ask it.
It's something I've thought about, and I don't know. I guess it depends on who I find to buy it.
Are you I guess what's coming up for me, Pete, and I'll just say this kind of directly, is are you actually fighting for her heart, or are you wanting things to fall into place because that's what you want and that's what would be good for you in your life? To talk to her 12 times in a year, she says, "Hey, if I'm going to talk to you, I need a good therapist." I realize she has her side of the street. I realize she's unhealthy in her ways and difficult in ways and all this stuff. I realize that. Like, it takes two to tango here. But on one hand, you're saying one thing and doing another. Can you see the discrepancy? Like, I want my family to be together. I want to work this out. But not much is changing. I'm kind of in these ruts and like, I'm not fighting like hell here for it. I kind of want to blame her for moving. I want to make her look crazy because she moved because of a $30 or $40 car thing that I bought, and that's not why she moved. Right. But Pete, you're not in total denial here. Like, you can acknowledge, yes, this was a long time coming. I caused this pain. There's a lot of reparation work that I need to do. But the question is, are you willing to actually do the deepest, hardest work to really do that reparation work because you care about fighting for you first and foremost, and then fighting for her heart? Or do you just want what you want because it fits in your life and that's what you want? And so, like, she should come back and just kind of like live in this unsafe relationship, and hopefully Pete springs once in a while for a therapy session, but he might not. Like, why would she do that? Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
I wonder, Brandon, if it goes like a step deeper than that too, because I think, Pete, you can see that too. Like you're saying, on one hand over here, this is what I really want and need. I want connection. I miss that time with my kids. I want all of that stuff. And then we come back with the question, what are you willing to do to work towards that end with no guarantees? And right now the behaviors aren't lining up with the stated goal. And so most people are going to go, well, just start doing all of that stuff. But I imagine that when you hear that, maybe you're hearing it from both Brandon and I right now, there's a piece of you that's in the inside that either feels overwhelmed or it feels confused. or it feels incapable. And so it's almost like hearing this stuff, even if it's true, it almost leads to paralysis rather than action.
Right.
Is that true?
That's, yeah. I feel like, I think yesterday's a good example. I couldn't, dealing with depression and anxiety on top of everything else, just not being able to do anything. I dragged myself out of bed in the morning. I, made myself go do some things. And I started looking around the house to pack up and get things ready so I can move. And I just break down. And it is that paralysis. It's that I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. I have all this stuff going on in my mind, and I'm angry and I'm hurt, and I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the balance between my past shame-based actions. I don't know how to move away from that into like something healthy. I'm not sure I know what I'm trying to say.
I like where you're going here, actually.
It's like, I understand, like the whole hobby thing, I can move past it, but I feel like I'm trying to figure out how to react in a strong and safe way. Cause I've spent so much of my life being this passive, weak person.
That Pete, I wonder, like, I think the hobby thing is beside the point. Like, yeah, you should have healthy hobbies. Yeah, you should. That's wonderful. As long as it's a hobby, as long as it's not an addiction. Right.
Right.
As long as it really is that. And as long as you're not dishonest about it, you're transparent, you're like, the hobby thing is beside the point. I wonder with her if there's a bit of a push and pull when it comes to intimacy, where it's like, I want you close, I want a good relationship, but I'll have this emotional affair because I'm seeking for something else that's less vulnerable over here, or I'll avoid you in these ways or push you out in those ways, but I want you close. And so you can kind of see some of the attachment issues there, right?
Right.
And which would make total sense considering some of your trauma and things like that, right? And so coming back to what you're saying, like, well, what do I do? Like, it's hard to get out of bed in the morning. I have anxiety. Here's a couple things for you, Pete. Okay. You get out of bed every day right now. You have an alarm and you get your butt up. And when you get up, you do a couple of things quickly to feel like I accomplished something. It might be you do 5 push-ups. Right? I'm going to roll out of bed, get on that floor. I'm doing 5 push-ups right now. So you accomplish something, you move your body every day. Another thing is, I don't know if you have this or not. Right now, you need to make a phone call every single day to somebody. When you say you need connection, maybe it's the same person every day. But it's, hey, I'm just checking in, just telling you how I'm feeling today, where I'm at, and I want to hear how you're doing too. Every day you need a phone call. Every day you need to accomplish something. Every day you need to move your body right now. Right. And every day you should be eating good food that isn't just numbing your life out. Right.
Right.
And going to sleep at night. So just basic things right now, Pete. That's what you focus on right now. And in order to do that, you got to let go a little bit of like, what's going to happen with my family. And I know that sounds impossible, but it's just, I'm going to feel good right now so that I have the energy and the capability to now do the hard things that I need to do to sort all of this stuff out over here. Right. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Easy to say, right?
It's easy to say, yeah. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do. Get up, I all my days off from work. When I have to go to work, it's easy. But when I am on an off day, getting up and making myself go to the gym, or making myself just get out, do yard work or whatever, it gets me going at least.
Oh.
It helps.
Do you have support? Do you have someone to call?
Thing. I have plenty of people. I just need to make those calls.
Oh. It's interesting because I think there's the rational linear kind of solution that I could outline for you, that if I was in your shoes, Pete, and I felt what you just told me, which is my biggest priority is my connection, and specifically with my children, and hopefully want to save things with my wife. The quick and easy rational solution is you're no longer tied to things legally. Pack your bags, move to where your kids are at, get a new job, and get invested in their life, and see if your marriage is going to survive itself, and sell everything you've got and do everything you can towards that end until you have nothing left, but you've exhausted your heart towards the things that you say that you want. Now, because that rational thing, it isn't that easy. Where Brandon's going is, what's the first step? You got to get out of bed. You got to take care of yourself. You got to get support. And then you're going to take the next step. Oh, I need to actually maybe consider what it would take to actually start looking at moving. Oh, I'd have to start looking for a new job, or I'd have to start doing this thing or that thing or that thing. And if you take a little step at a time, one step at a time, you're now at least moving towards being congruent with what you said you want to do, which by nature will start to put your heart a little bit more at peace, which by nature will then allow you to start to be motivated and live a life that's coming from the guy that Pete is becoming, and the guy that believes Pete can have what he wants in his life, rather than the guy that tries to shut Pete down and keep him in bed all night, all day. Right. So a little at a time. So it almost takes both. Like, you need to map out the big overall goal and say, now what would the one little step be towards that end today? Just today. But if you were taking steps towards that end, at least you go to bed every night on a clear conscience, knowing that you lived in congruence with what you're claiming to really want and need in your life. And it reinforces the true belief that you're worthy of it, which I believe so often there's another part of you that doesn't believe you're even worthy of that. And that's the guy that needs a big hug. So what's coming up for you right now? What's coming up for you right now, Pete?
I think that's a big part of it. I feel like a lot of my actions in the past were self-loathing, and the stuff that led up to my arrest, it was self-destructive, and I was really trying to hurt myself. I don't know, this is totally an aside, but I remember when I was sitting in the sheriff's car, I had these two moments. I had the moment when I was like, okay, I can end it. And then I had the moment that I felt relief and thought, this is a new beginning. Mm-hmm. Here's my new opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I've tried to roll with that one, but yeah, it's trying to learn to accept that I'm worth it.
Yeah. I've told this story before, but I had a guy come in my office, really smart, sharp guy, just completely just done. Just he had done all kinds of things in his marriage. He just wakes of destruction. And he actually he got really emotional and almost kind of fell off the chair and was crying and sobbing in my office. And he was just saying, like, what's the point now? Like, it's all ruined, everything's broken. And then he started even getting into, like, God shouldn't even love me anymore. And I was just kind of letting him be emotional, and I let him stay there for a minute in his pain. And then I said something like, maybe all of this stuff is God fighting for you. Maybe this moment right now, while you're on your knees, like, is a moment that you can look at and say, God is trying to get to my heart. Right? Because he very easily could look at this and say, I now have the efforts. And it sounds like you get there, Pete, where it's like, I'm gonna start drinking now. F it. I lost I lost my family. F it. My job, like my money situation. F it. What's the point? Like, forget it. Forget it all. Or new beginning, what you said, right? And there's a simple yet important distinction between the two, and you know what it is?
Not off the top of my head.
It's hope. It's hope. It's, you look at this and you can see despair, or you can see hope for change, hope for growth, hope for learning, hope for God fighting for you. And what you just said, like, I want to believe that I'm loved. I want to believe that I'm important. You're going to have to live off of that, not knowing that, but hoping that that's true in order to stay in that place, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Because the devil on your shoulder is going to come back up and say, nah, you're nothing. All your father wounds, all your beliefs about yourself from all of that is going to come back and say, see, like, I haven't loved you. I don't care about you. You don't matter.
Right.
See?
I've been, a lot of stuff you're saying, it resonates. I've been reading a lot of Eldridge stuff and going through, he has the app, and I've been trying to do that, pretty steadily, morning and night, working through those things. And that's one of the things that just came up was, that I am loved as I am. And it's just one of the things that's kind of hit me with
absolutely
in doing that.
Yeah, I know, Pete, we're just about out of time here. I just want to reemphasize what you just said and what Brannon's trying to get through to you, and the fact that you had it go through you in the back of a sheriff's car, that this is either the end or it's the beginning of a change. And I just want you to know that I know that you are capable of making the changes that you say you want to make. It won't be easy. You're not going to get it all done at once. But there is a family 2 states away from you, 4 kids that need their dad. And guess what? God called you to fill that role. He called you to fill that role. He didn't ask for anybody else. He asked you, and you're capable. You're capable. And you listen to the voice that says you're capable and there's hope, and then you take one step at a time and you move towards those things with support, with compassion, with kindness, with integrity, one step at a time. And I'm sure that if we were to talk to you a year from now, I don't know what your life looks like, but I know that you're happier you're more grounded in knowing who you are, and you very likely have a much deeper connection with your children than you currently do. And I believe God's calling you to that, and I hope that you'll listen to that voice. There's belief in you from a higher source than you. So,
it's interesting, and we are out of time, but it's interesting. The adversary comes along and drops some bombs and takes some shots, and a father with a brain injury, like, that's a big one, because it's not his fault that he's belligerent and emotional and emotionally abusive or whatever, right? But to a son, and we don't have time to dig in here with you, but like, there's probably a lot of feelings of like, what does it mean to be loved? And then we look at God the same way we look at our dad in many ways, like, well, God's love must be similar to my dad's love. God loves you way different than what you experience with your dad. And that's what you need to know. You need to go experience that love from God. You need to get fathered by God and not by your dad, right? Because if you're fathered by God, you get your questions answered. Then all of these other things that we're talking about being capable as a father and fighting for your family and drinking your life away or having hope, you got those questions answered of what you're going to do, because you know that love is there, right? And you need to seek that. You need to find that. You need to initiate yourself in that in order to get that answer. And Pete, I hear that you want that answer, but I'm also feeling from you that you don't know if you believe it. You don't know if God does love you fully and sees you, right? So, Pete, I just want to say thanks for coming on, being vulnerable. And, God, can we do like 7 more episodes with you? I'm sure you would love that, right?
Yeah. Right.
Pete, thanks for coming on today and sharing yourself, man. I hope that there's something that'll be beneficial to you, especially when you go back when this comes out in a week or two and a couple weeks, and be able to listen to it again. And hopefully there'll be some things that sit with your heart well. There's a good heart that's buried deep inside that just needs to be cultivated every day. I think that's the takeaway for today. So thank you for being here, Pete. Thank you to our listeners for being here, for being a witness to this, for hearing Pete's story and for holding it. And hopefully it's helpful to you too. You guys have an awesome week.
See you guys.